In the summer of 1787, the United States was in crisis. The Articles of Confederation had failed. Shays' Rebellion had shown the weakness of the government and the danger of unrest. So delegates from across the states gathered in Philadelphia to create something new. They met in secrecy, under the sweltering heat, knowing the fate of the Republic might rest on their decision. The hardest decision they faced was also the simplest. How could states be represented in Congress? The large states came armed with the Virginia Plan. Representation, they argued, should be based on population. More people meant more seats, more votes, more power. To them, it was a matter of fairness. Government should reflect the people directly, and the citizens in populous states like Virginia and Pennsylvania should not have the same single vote as tiny Delaware. The small states recoiled. They came with the New Jersey Plan. Each state, they insisted, was sovereign. Each state had entered the Union freely. To strip them of equal votes would reduce them to provinces ruled by their larger neighbors. Equal representation, one state, one vote, was the only way to protect their independence. The room grew tense. Delegates muttered about walking out. The Union itself seemed ready to crack apart. This was not just a political squabble, it was a design problem. The framers were trying to build a machine of government that could both channel the voice of the people and preserve the autonomy of the states. If they chose population alone, small states might refuse to join. If they choose state equality alone, large states would dominate by sheer numbers and feel cheated of their influence. The wrong answer could sink the Constitution before it left the room. The breakthrough came slowly, through bitter debate and endless votes. At last, the delegates chose to split the problem in two. In one chamber of the House, the seats would be apportioned by population. The more people you had, the more seats you gained. In the other chamber, in the Senate, each state would have exactly 2 votes, equal regardless of size. It was a balancing act. One house to represent the people, one house to represent the states. Popular will and state sovereignty side by side. The details mattered. Revenue bills would begin in the House, where the members were closest to the voters, satisfying the principle that taxation should be tied to representation. The Senate would check the House, ensuring that small states could not be bulldozed by the larger ones. The design gave each side enough to claim victory and enough to keep them uneasy. That uneasiness was the point. The solution became known as the Great Compromise, and it saved the convention. Without it, the delegates might have gone home divided, leaving the Articles in place and the Union to fracture. With it, they created a structure strong enough to hold 13 jealous states together. The idea of the two-chamber legislature was not entirely new. The British Parliament had long been divided into Commons and Lords, representing different interests. Many American colonies and states had already experimented with bicameral legislatures. And the classical world offered its own precedents. Aristotle and Polybius both warned that pure forms of government, whether monarchy, aristocracy, or democracy, tend to decay into corruption. The Roman Republic had balanced consuls, Senate, and popular assemblies to prevent any single element from completely dominating. Usually. The framers of 1787 were steeped in this history. They believed stability required a mixture of principles. The Great Compromise carried that philosophy forward. It mixed representation by population with representation by state. It forced legislation to clear 2 different hurdles. Actually 3 different hurdles, filtering out rash decisions and requiring broader consensus. The price was inefficiency. The reward was legitimacy. Laws that passed both houses could claim to speak for the people as individuals and for the individual states as sovereign members of the Union. The trade-offs were obvious even then. Small states would have outsized influence in the Senate. Large states would drive the House. Legislation would be harder to pass, coalitions harder to form, but the framers preferred a government that moved slowly to one that fell apart quickly. Better to sacrifice speed than risk disunion. The Great Compromise was not flashy, but it was foundational. It took 2 incompatible principles and bound them together in a single framework. It gave the United States a Congress that embodies both popular representation and state equality, and it proved that a republic could survive not by erasing differences, but by weaving them into its design. When the delegates finally moved on from this debate, they did so with relief. They had not solved every problem, but they had saved the convention. The Constitution could move forward. The Union could endure. The Great Compromise remains one of the core features of American government. Every law passed in Congress still bears the stamp of that bargain hammered out in Philadelphia. It reminds us that the Constitution was not handed down as a perfect blueprint. It was forged in argument, stitched together by compromise, and designed to hold a fragile nation together.